Shalom, Bruchim Habayim, welcome everybody. This is neighbor, do you want to order something? Okay, soon. B'ezrat Hashem. Hayom, the Erev Shabbat, Parashat Bamidbar, הולכים להתחיל חומש חדש. We're going to start a new chumash called Parashat Bamidbar. This parasha is always read before Shavuot. בדרך כלל, תודה רבה, בדרך כלל הפרשה הזאת, קוראים אותה לפני שבועות, שבת ממש לפני שבועות. לפעמים, תודה רבה, לפעמים אנחנו קוראים את הפרשה עוד פרשת נשוא, אבל במדבר, תמיד. This parsha is always read before שבועות. So, כל דבר בעולם זה השגחה פרטית, אם עכשיו רק עוד שני קלקלים שמיים. תודה. אמן. אם כל דבר בתורה זה בהשגחה פרטית, על אחת כמה וכמה בתורה בעצמה. If everything in the world is considered divine providence, Hashem runs everything, how much more so that when it comes to Torah, it's not just by chance that this parsha is read before Shavuot. There are different reasons why, but I want to focus on a beautiful, beautiful concept in this week's parsha, which this shiur is being dedicated by the Jaffe family in memory of Moshe ben Ze'ev, in memory of his yard site, and the neshama should have an aliyah, and for all the families should be lots of Yeshua, and also, of course, for all of Am Yisrael. Amen. יש נקודה מאוד מעניינת שמקשרת בין פרשת במדבר לשבוע. There's a very beautiful idea which connects between this parsha Bamidbar and Shavuot, which is coming up next week. And really, this is the last Kabbalah Cafe before Shavuot. So next week, of course, Friday is the Chag, so we're not going to have a Kabbalah Cafe on that day. But everyone's invited. It's the only day that we're going to have in Heichal Shlomo next week. In the morning, we're expecting a large crowd, and then there's going to be a big kiddush afterwards, a dairy one, and then afterwards we'll stay at Chabad for the rest of the Chag. And then we'll continue Kabbalah Cafe, B'ezrat Hashem, the week afterwards, in 2 weeks from today. So what could be the connection between Parashat Bamidbar and Shavuot? כתוב בפרשת במדבר, אחרי שסיימנו לספור את כל עם ישראל, כתוב ואלה תולדות אהרון ומשה ביום דיבר השם את משה בהר סיני. These are the children of Aaron and Moshe on the day that Hashem spoke to Moshe Har Sinai. ואלה שמות בני אהרון, and these are the names of the children of Aaron. Habachor, the firstborn, was Nadav, Va'avihu, Elazar, V'Tamar. אבל לא כתוב פה את הילדים של משה, כתוב רק הילדים של אהרון. אז למה כתוב ואלה תולדות אהרון ומשה? The Torah doesn't really tell us the children of Moshe, only Aaron. So why does it say, and these are the children of Aaron and Moshe? אז רש"י מסביר שהסיבה לזה שאנחנו מזכירים רק את בני אהרון בגלל שהם גם נקראים תולדות משה, גם נקראים הבנים של משה, מכיוון שמשה רבינו לימד אותם תורה, מלמד שכל המלמד את בן חברו תורה מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו ילדו. דבר מאוד מאוד עצמתי, ואנחנו ננסה להסביר את הקשר בין מי שמלמד תורה למי שמקבל ולומד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. חיים, how are you, Yeshua? Mordechai, would you like to drink some water? Oh, I know you're good. A little water?
Okay, it's okay.
If you want, please feel free.
Okay.
You're not just filming. I hope you don't cut this out. You're not just filming, you're also part of our shir. You're an integral part of our shir. This is going to be an amazing insight. Bakasha. Please order something that has on the menu, a special Chabad menu.
You don't want to drink anything?
So there's a special connection which is formed between someone who teaches Torah to the one who learns the Torah. This is the connection between Shavuot, because this is so powerful. And that's why the Torah writes Moshe. That's what we're going to try to explain today in Israel. Since Moshe Rabbeinu taught Aaron's children Torah, and someone who teaches someone else Torah, it's as if he gave birth to them. So therefore, it's called Toldot Moshe, the children of Moshe. Not only the physical children of Aaron, but they're also the children of Aaron are also considered the children of Moshe. השאלה המתבקשת היא שמשה לימד לא רק את בני אהרון, הוא גם לימד את כל עם ישראל את התורה. מה הסדר? כשהוא ירד מההר, דבר ראשון הוא לימד את אהרון, ואחרי זה בנים של אהרון, ואחרי זה 70 זקנים, ואחרי זה כל עם ישראל. אז הוא לא רק לימד את בני אהרון, אז למה דווקא אצלם, אצל בני אהרון כתוב שמשה ילד אותם? Moshe didn't only teach Torah only to the children of Aaron, he taught the Torah to all of Am Yisrael, and in a certain way, it's considered that Moshe gave birth to them, so to speak. They're his children, because he taught everyone Torah. But the Torah says it over here, by Bnei Aaron, by Aaron's children. Why? What's so special about Aaron's children, different than all of Am Yisrael? אז יש משהו מאוד מאוד יפה בפירוש של הגור אריה. אחד המפרשים על המר"ל מפראג בעצמו בספרו גור אריה, הוא כותב ככה. שהסיבה היא משום שיש הבדל בין איך שמשה לימד את כל עם ישראל לבין איך שהוא לימד את בני אהרון. הוא לימד את כל עם ישראל, כי זה היה מצווה, כתוב, ולימדתם אותם, אתה צריך ללמד אותם. אבל בני אהרון זה היה מטעמו. הוא בעצמו עשה השתדלות, אפילו שלא צובה, הוא עשה בהתנדבות, התמסרות, הוא התמסר לזה, וזה דבר מאוד יקר. All of Am Yisrael he taught because he was told to do so. He was commanded, Hashem told him, teach all of Am Yisrael. But there was a special, he was given over to the children of Aaron. He made a special effort. He wasn't told specifically to teach them. Of course, they're included in all of the other Am Yisrael. But Moshe Rabbeinu, this is what the Maharal Meprak says, he didn't just do it to fulfill his obligation, to get it over with. He made a special dedication, and he said, I am going to make a special effort to teach the children of Aaron. מכאן אנחנו לומדים שכשמישהו עושה מאמץ ומנסה, משתדל לבנות את הקשר עם התלמיד, אז זה יש לו שכר עוד יותר, יש לו קשר עם התלמיד, מישהו יותר מאי פעם. When someone makes a special effort, doesn't just teach because they quote unquote have to, but they put themselves into it, there is a special connection which is formed between the teacher and the student. And there are many stories about, unfortunately, there are some teachers who just do it, just to go to school, they teach just to get it over with. there are some teachers who can really connect to the children. Like, for example, there was once a very wild class of children. And every year, the teachers would just dread not to have that class. And the kids would jump and throw chairs at the teacher. It was like really, really extreme. One time, at the end of the year, the teacher told the teacher that taught them the previous year, gave over a list of children to the teacher for the next year. I think it's totally wrong. You should give the teacher a chance to start from scratch. But it was a whole list of names and numbers. Okay. Next year came along, and she started teaching. Kids were perfect. She was a master teacher. The kids weren't throwing things across the room. They weren't screaming. They weren't making a fuss. So one day, a week, a month, and it wasn't changing. So they asked her, "What's your magic?" She said, "I don't know. I didn't do anything. I got a list from the teacher of the previous year, and it said 93, 89, 97, 100. They said, "No, that wasn't the marks. That was their cubby number. Where they keep their stuff. The cubby hole or their locker number. So most people, so in other words, they would give over the bad marks and the bad behavior marks. But this teacher, amongst other things, was giving over, and the new teacher only translated that to be that was their real marks. But it's the connection, the way the teacher connected, and that's how she looked at the students. She didn't view them as being something negative, rather being very, very positive and having high marks. And when you look at someone with that expectation, with that realization that they're able to stand up to those marks, and then that message connects to the student, and the student also acts accordingly. Okay, I'm trying to jump. אז מה שאנחנו אומרים בעצם, שיש את הקשר החזק בין המורה, המלמד, לבין המקבל התלמיד. כשהמלמד, המורה, מסתכל על התלמיד באופן כזה, שיש לנו את האפשרות להיות ברמה גבוהה, אז התלמיד גם מתנהג כמים הפנים לפנים, כן לב האדם על אדם. Just like a person looks at the water, you see the reflection back at you of your face. Same thing when you look at another person in a nice way, or however you look at another person, and that's the response that you get back. So that's why it's important, it's extra important to look at someone in a nice way, in a loving way, in a welcoming way, and that gives us the opportunity to connect to the person sitting across from us. In the Talmud, these are the words. Banecha elu hatalmidim. It says, V'shinantam levanecha, we say in the Shema, that's the pasuk. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. Banecha זה לא רק ילדים בגשמיות, זה גם ברוחניות. It's also spiritual children. V'shinantam levanecha, it says, Torah says, you teach your children, these are the Talmidim. וזה גם יכול לעודד שזה לא רק שאנחנו מלמדים לא רק שיש משפחה עם בנים ובנות, אלא כל אחד יכול ליצור בנים. It's not only that when someone has the zechut of having children, then you teach your children, you connect to them. But every single person can have an opportunity to teach others. And when you teach others, that person becomes your child. That person becomes... A child is not only an offspring. A child is a strong connection. Like It says in the Talmud, "Bira kara da'avua." The phrase is in Aramaic. A child is literally translated as being the leg, in other words, part of the parent. And so it's not just materialistic children, but it's also spiritual children. That when you're able to teach someone Torah, what are you doing? You're creating, in a sense, in a spiritual sense, such a special bond that it's not just like two different people. הבן, הילד, הוא כאילו חלק ממציאות ההורה, a part of the parent. And if so, then that's something which is very, very special and a very, very great bond. עכשיו אני רוצה לספר לכם מה שהאדמו"ר הזקן כותב בתניא. הוא אומר משהו מדהים. וזה רק יוסיף בכל הנושא הזה. I'll tell you an amazing thing what the Alter Rebbe says in the 5th chapter of Tanya, which will add very much a good spice to this point. הוא אומר, כשיהודי לומד תורה, מה קורה? הוא מייצר קשר מאוד מאוד חזק עם אלוקים. הוא קורא לזה ייחוד. אין ייחוד כמוהו, ואין כערכו נמצא כלל מכל צד ופינה. יש כמה וכמה דרכים איך אנחנו יכולים לעשות קשר עם מישהו אחר. אבל אם הקדוש ברוך הוא, זה נשמע שהוא רחוק מאיתנו. אנחנו גשמיים, והוא כל כולו רוחני. אבל כשלומדים תורה, מה קורה? לא רק שהמידע של התורה נכנס לתוך הראש שלנו, אלא גם מסובבת את הראש, מסובבת את כל המציאות. אז זה נהיה חלק מאיתנו. וזה מגדיר את הנושא הזה שבנים אלו התלמידים. כשמשה רבנו לימד את בני אהרון, והוא נכנס לזה עם כל החיות, עם כל המרץ, אז תתחבר עליהם ותתחבר איתם מאוד. What does the Alter Rebbe say in the Tanya? He says that when a person learns Torah, there is a very special union that is formed between the person and Hashem. You see, in the world, in our life, there are many ways that a person can connect with someone else. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, many ways. But Hashem, how could you connect to Hashem? How can we bond with Hashem seemingly? Hashem is all spiritual. We are materialistic people. We're physical here in this olam hazeh, in this physical world. How can we ever dream or have the chutzpah to even consider to connect to Hashem? Who are we? We're little nothings. Much further than the difference between a little ant and a huge airplane that's flying in the clouds. So how can we ever bond with Hashem? We want to have achdut. The Alter Rebbe says an amazing thing. When a person learns Torah, there is a huge yichud, unification, which happens between the two individuals, between a person and Hashem. It's such a great union that there is no union in the world like that. It is the greatest union that could ever be. Let's say for an example, you read a story, you read a book. So the information of the book comes into your mind. When you learn the Torah, it's even more than that. The information of the Torah, the Kedusha, the holiness of the Torah also encompasses it, totally surrounds you and uplifts a person. So that's an unbelievable union. Not only goes inside of you, but it also surrounds you. You're totally wrapped up. You're totally all protected, all encompassed by the Torah. So that is the yichud. Ein yichud kamo klal. These are fascinating words. There is no unification like this in the entire world. So this only adds to this idea that we're talking about over here. What happens when a person teaches someone else Torah? The person is considered a ben, a child. Banecha eilu talmidim. the children of Aaron and all of Am Yisrael, but especially the children of Aaron, are considered the child of Moshe Rabbeinu. Because when you teach someone Torah, there is a special, we just said, there's a special bond. It's not just teaching someone else. That's obvious. Or a teacher teaching someone else's children. That's wonderful. But to be considered that it's your child. When you teach someone the Torah, that is something which a child is considered from the etzem, from the essence. When the child is from the essence of the person, that's not just like a connection, like an external connection that, let's say, everyone is in the same room or the same area. But there's an essential connection that it's impossible to differentiate. That's the difference between something which is essential and something which is external. External, you cut the rope and there's no more bond over there. But if it's essential, deep down from the neshama, there's no way in the world to separate it. And that's very encouraging and very uplifting. I want to share with you a story that happened with a very great philanthropist in California. His name was Beryl Weiss. He was a very rich man. I had the zechut to meet him. He used to come here to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim very often, to daven in the old city in the Tzemach Tzedek. And he learned in Cheder in Hungary, in a little town called I can't say it properly, Batarch. Forgive me if it's not in English or in Yiddish or in Hebrew. It's Hungarian, so you can't expect me to say it properly. And the teacher, the Melamed, every little town had their Melamed. He was the person that pretty much, usually, he did the Shechita for the people. Aya Yehudi, I'm going to say it in Hebrew, I'll translate it. קראו לו בהונגריה רבי יוסף לוגר, השם ייקום דמו. אני חושב שהוא נרצח בשואה, unfortunately he was murdered in the Shoah. And he would, הוא היה מלמד של הילדים בעיירה קטנה בהונגריה שנקרא בטראץ'. והוא נתן ליהודי הזה, ברל וייס, השפיע עליו הרבה דברים טובים בכל ימי חייו. פעם אחת, יוסף מדבר על שולחן ערוך הרב של בעל התניא. אז הרב וייס אמר, בתחילה לא תפסנו מה זה שולחן ערוך הרב. זה של בית יוסף. שאלנו אותו, רב יוסף, מה זה שולחן ערוך הרב? אז הוא אמר, הוא הרים את ידיו למעלה ואמר ביידיש, בעל שולחן ערוך הרב היה תלמידו של המגיד ממזריץ', והמגיד אמר עליו הלכת כרב. ואז המלמד הוסיף לספר שצאצאי המחבר השולחן ערוך הרב הם ברוסיה שלשלת אדמו"רי לבביץ'. כשהוא שמע את זה, אז זה נכנס בתוכו, הוא רצה מאוד לפגוש מי הם הצאצאים של השולחן ערוך הרב. ובזכות זה הוא הגיע לאמריקה, והאדמו"ר הזקן היה מכנה את עצמו בן של המגיד ממזריץ' ונכד של הבעל שם טוב. וזה מחזק את העניין הזה שהקשר שנוצר בין רב ותלמיד. So this rabbi, the teacher of Beryl Weiss, when Beryl Weiss was a kid, it seems like he was already a bigger child, like maybe 10 or 12, it seems like. So, in the Cheder, his teacher was Rabbi Yosef Luger. They used to call him Rabbi Yosef. Unfortunately, he was murdered in the Shoah. But the things that Rabbi Yosef taught Beryl and his friends stayed with them for the rest of their lives. One time, in school class, he quoted, it was like an imprint. I think that point itself is enough to indicate of the strong bond between a teacher and a child and a student. So one time Rabbi Yosef was quoting the Shulchan Aruch, and he said the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Beryl said we didn't understand. What does it mean Shulchan Aruch Harav? Shulchan Aruch of Beit Yosef for 400 years. What's the Shulchan? So Rabbi Yosef lifted his hands and he said, "Who is the Shulchan Aruch Harav? This is the student, the successor of the Maggid of Mezritch, and he was the first Rebbe of Chabad. All of the Rebbes of Chabad come from him. Why is it called the Shulchan Aruch Harav?" He explained, because the Maggid of Mezritch, the great successor of the Baal Shem Tov, the next week on Shavuot, we're going to mark the yard site of the Baal Shem Tov, the first day of Shavuot. The Maggid told the Alter Rebbe to write his version of the Shulchan Aruch. He told him that he quoted from the Talmud. He borrowed the next two words from the Talmud. Hilchetat Kerav. The law is like the halacha is like Rav. For many years till today, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions, go according to Alter Rebbe. So he explained. First of all, Ben Weiss had a chance to come to Israel or to go to America. But he heard that the previous Rebbe was in America, so he wanted to be next to the grandson of the great-great-great-grandson of the Alter Rebbe. But here's something which is going to tie into what we're trying to say. The Alter Rebbe used to consider himself a son, a spiritual son, of the Maggid of Mezritch, and the spiritual Neche, the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. But here we see, it wasn't just a play on words. Oh, it sounds like a son, it sounds like a grandson. It's real. The bond, especially we're talking about Rebbe's, Baal Shem Tov, the great Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezritch of Dov Ber, just to say the names of these great tzaddikim is a huge schut. And then the Alter Rebbe, these great tzaddikim were bonded together. They had a special connection, a special relationship. Perhaps moreover than anyone who just teaches someone else. But it obviously is the same thing, and that's what we're trying to bring an example from here. This whole idea. We're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu teaching the sons of Aaron, and they're called the Torah calls them his children. What do we see from here? Once again, with the elaboration which we're trying to explain, that when you teach someone else Torah, there's a very essential bond which happens, that it's not only ki'ilu, as if the person gave you, but it's mamish, literally considered that the person is an offspring, a child, a special bond between the two. When I was preparing the shir, I found something, an interesting point, which may also be connected to this point. When Rashi says, that I quoted right in the beginning, Rashi says, "Melamed shekol ha-melamed ben chavero Torah מעלה עלינו כתוב כליודו." אולי בזה שרש"י כותב את המילה מלמד, הוא מלמד אותנו שאנחנו גם יכולים לעשות את זה. שזה אותו לשון, מלמד. Maybe by the fact that Rashi says melamed, it teaches us. What's it trying to, why does he use this word melamed? Because he's trying to teach us that we also have this power to do like Moshe, perhaps. It's not only reserved, of course, when Moshe teaches you that he's connecting to you on a very deep level. But Moshe gives this over to everybody else, and even you and I can have this power to teach Torah, to give Torah over. אני רוצה לסיים את הנקודה הזאת, בנקודה מאוד חשובה. השבוע, אנחנו נסיים את פרקי אבות. ובשבת הבאה אנחנו נלמד את פרקי אבות, את הפרק הראשון. ושם כתוב, הם אמרו 3 דברים, הביאו מתונים בדין, והעמידו תלמידים הרבה, ועשו סייג לתורה. מי שיכול להגיד שאולי זה לא נאמר אליי, להעמיד תלמידים הרבה. בשביל מי זה? זה לצדיקים, רבנים, מרצים. אבל אני, להעמיד תלמידים הרבה, אני כלום. אני בקושי לומד בעצמי. איך אני אמור ללמד מישהו אחר? באה המשנה ללמד אותנו. שכל יהודי חייב לומר בעמידות תלמידים הרבה. כל אחד צריך להתעסק בזה. וזה מאוד מחזק אותנו שאנחנו רוצים שיהיו עד כמה שיותר תלמידים, עד כמה שיותר תלמידי חכמים, עד כמה שיותר בנים, לפחות במובן הרוחני. Tomorrow on Shabbat we're going to finish Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot next week Shabbat we're going to start again the new cycle of Pirkei Avot. And the first Mishnah tells us what the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the men of the Great Assembly, said. What did they say? Three things. Number one, that you should be deliberate in judgment, not just off the cuff. And then it says you should have many students. And then it says you should have a fence for the Torah. And that's a lesson for us. It's not just, all these three things are a lesson we should learn from this. So the Rebbe once spoke a very beautiful concept, and he said as follows. What's the second thing? The Hamidut Talmidim Abei, you should have many students. A person can very easily say, that's not for me. Who am I? I'm going to start teaching people Torah. I barely learn Torah myself. You expect me to have students? How am I going to have them? I'm going to start, hello everybody, come learn with me. I want to teach you. Doesn't that sound like a very ego thing to say? I want to be a teacher. I want to teach you. The Mishnah says that every person has the ability to build students, build spiritual children. If Hashem gives us a school to learn a certain Dvar Torah, that means that we have an obligation not just to keep it for ourselves, but to teach it to others. Even if it's only a Mishnah, only a chapter in Tanya, only a pasuk, even only one word. That's our obligation to teach it to someone else, because they're for sure exactly. Whoever said, if you know an aleph, you teach an aleph. If you know a bet, you teach a bet. That's why Hashem taught it to you, not just for your own knowledge, mainly to be able to share the information with others. So this is the lesson that we learned as Shabbat Bamidbar, the Shabbat before Shavuot. We're going to receive the Torah. אנחנו הולכים לקבל את התורה מחדש בחג השבועות. אנחנו נשמע את עשרת הדיברות. ובא עלינו ללמד מה שאנחנו יודעים לאחרים. So it's our obligation to teach what we know to others. That is a mitzvah, now is our obligation, especially as we're about to approach the Shabbat Bamidbar, which is the Shabbat before Shavuot. So we're building up to Shavuot. We want to learn Torah all night. We have classes every hour of the night of Shavuot. And we want to hear the Aseret HaDibrot in the shul on Shavuot. So this should only be for us, for our own benefit. Oh, I want to know the That's wonderful. It's good that we should have an aspiration all the time to learn more and more. But there's nothing like teaching others. When you teach others, then that is the ultimate reason why Hashem gave you and I the gift of learning Torah. Yeshar Koach, L'chaim, L'chaim, and we shall all be successful. Tודה רבה.